Okay, I
All
got
right,
it.
good morning. This is Jake
Morning.
Whitfield. And Jake, you were class of 2019.
Yes, sir.
And so tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm Jake Whitfield, or Jacob Whitfield, whatever one you want to call me. I graduated LVC class of 2019. Um, I was a history major. I played football for 4 years, defensive nose tackle, go Dutchman. Um, Also, I worked in student engagement for a little bit too. So that was other things that I did. Also, I first came in as a bio major, and then I switched to becoming a history major and ended up graduating with a history degree.
Okay. So what are you doing now, Jake?
So right now I'm working at Yellow Britches. It's a full-time emotional support school. I'm teaching science there, and I'm on full-time emotional support.
Okay. So what does that mean? I'm sorry, I'm just not familiar with what is an what is an emotional support school?
So emotional support school. So we have kids from different variety of who have like a disability. So there's some kids who have like emotional disability, like they experience like emotional trauma. Work with kids who have autism too. So and then I work with kids who have different like disabilities too. So just working, it's that one fourth of like working with kids and making sure that like there this the I'm bad at stuttering, but working with them and working with helping them through like the disability that they have and making the learning environment fun and engaging and just being there for them is that what I kind of do. So
Okay. So is it through like the school district, or is it through is it a private group or like an after hours? Sorry,
so it's
I'm such a newbie to that
Yeah, so
world.
it's like an educational center. So we get kids from a variety of school districts. So there's about, I believe, 7 campuses. So there's one over in Plainfield. The one I work out is in Anvil. So we get a lot of kids from like Pine Grove, Manheim. We get kids from Anvil too, Lebanon. So when kids, and sometimes in like different situations, some kids like not that they get kicked out, that they control get kicked out of their like regular school. Some kids like transfer over to us to like just get a better like grasp of like a different learning environment. And
Okay.
some kids like if they miss a X amount of days of school, like um, their school may send a kid over to us because we have like a more structure like environment for them to come to school. Like we pick them up from their house and make sure that they get here, and like we're really on that structure for a lot of kids. So
Okay. Do you like it?
I love it. I like it. I like working on Yellow Breeches. So
Okay. So you were before we started recording, you said you were like you're going back to get your certification and for become a teacher or become a certified teacher because
yeah,
you are.
so yeah, I am a teacher now. I'm working on being fully certified. So right now I'm at Wilson College, so I'm taking classes there while working towards my master's, while I'm taking classes to get my certification. So like, on my way, beforehand, I was an ed major slash history major at LVC. So I didn't, I came in undecided. So I was first a bio major and I wanted to be a dentist. Everybody has that dream of opening up their own practice and like making millions of dollars. Not me, but but I wanted to like, I switched it up. So I was a little undecided and I bio wasn't for me. Like a lot of people, I wanted to become like I had a very impactful like past with my history teacher back at home. So I was talking to them about it, and I was like, I loved history in high school, and it's something that you have to develop a love for. So teaching for me to teach history, especially like what things are going now, like history is changing, like it's history is changing like crazy. Like every single day, there's something new with history that's going on. So, teaching, me teaching. I'm sorry, I got my dog right
Oh,
here. He's bothering me. Hey, chill out, buddy. All right. So, teaching like history has always been a thing that I wanted to do since my freshman year after switching my major. So, um, I was, well, going back to Wilson College. So, like now I'm at Wilson College. So, the classes that I'm taking for my certifications counts towards like a master in special education.
okay. That's cool. Why'd you pick Wilson?
Wilson, like they have this. I was looking on like online for notable programs and stuff that are credible. I mean, accredited school, and Wilson College popped up, and I saw a lot of good reviews and stuff, and I ended up applying there, and I got accepted to the program. So,
Okay. And does Yellow Breeches help pay for any of that, or is that all on you?
yeah, they help pay for some of the classes. They help pay for two of my classes. So I think like one important thing to do when you're looking for like maybe a school or like something else, like when you get into the workforce, is like look for tuition like reimbursement programs, because that kind of help you along the way. So they're paying for some of my courses, and then some of the courses that I'm taking under my own wing and going through the FAFSA and like
Right.
trying to speed up the process.
Right. Okay. So the part of, as you know, as somebody who went through this class, although it was, at this point, I guess that was several years ago. What kinds of things did you get out of LVC that you think were really helpful to you now? And then what things, and then what kind, and then later I'll ask you like what kinds of advice. So just you have for them. So like what kinds of things did you learn at LVC, or what did you think was particularly helpful?
One thing that I learned at LVC is to just make yourself like well-rounded. Take classes here and there. Like you eventually like your credits and stuff. Like you have to reach 120 credits to make sure you attain the full degree. So, like with those electives and stuff, if there's something that you're like curious about, like don't be afraid to take that class, because at the end of the day, I mean, I know a lot of your guys are freshmen, sophomores. You're going to be graduating soon. The time it moves pretty fast. But, if there's something that you're like, man, maybe I want to try this out, like, don't be afraid to take that class. And one thing I have to say is like, don't be discouraged. There are a lot of people at LVC and the teachers, the faculty that will always help you out. If you ever struggled with like academics or struggle with like finding your niche. Yeah, there's plenty of times where I talked to Dr. Henshaw and I was like, man, you know what? I don't know if I want to be a history major no more. Or like, man, you know what? Like, I don't know if I want to do this, but they're always willing, like, they're one thing I learned is that they're always like willing to work with you and make sure that you get to where you want to be. I mean, in 4 years, it's kind of difficult to just say I'm doing this and sticking with it.
Right.
There's not, it's very hard to just stick with one thing, especially coming straight out of high school. This is a thing that you're going to do over the rest of your life, and you just graduated high school. So one thing I learned is like, don't be afraid to like take an internship, take a class or two that like has nothing to do with your major. You have 4 years to kind of like make sure that you accumulate your credits, but as you accumulate your credits, make sure that you like take classes that may interest you and may like take you a different direction, because it may like nevertheless you might take a couple business courses. The next thing you know, you have a minor in business, but you don't want to make sure that you get too much on like minor business history major, because eventually you may not even use your degree. So
Right.
right now I'm a history I was a history major. I have a history degree. I worked in life. I worked with being a life counselor first time out of school. and now I'm teaching science. So you never know where you're going to be at, especially so like making yourself well-rounded and making sure that you make yourself like notable and like being well-rounded is one thing that I always say that like LVC helped me be.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, it doesn't surprise me that when you describe like you worked at Milton Hershey or Milton Hershey School as like, that was like the life coach.
yeah, so like the life coach, so like working transitional living there. So like that was like working mainly with seniors. So that was like a live-in position. So just like helping them with like, developing curriculum for them, that
Right.
stuff that they need to know because like, you know, being a freshman coming in college, there's a lot of stuff you don't know that you need to know
Right.
coming out in senior year in high school that like maybe like not your parents failed to teach you, but maybe you just didn't learn it. Like
Right.
sometimes I know like I'm a first gen college student, so I know a lot of times if I went home and asked my mom about something that pertained to college or like something else, like most of the time maybe she didn't know the answer. So like I was kind of guiding her through like all the stuff like that
Yeah.
I needed to do. So, but one thing that I'd say for a first gen college student, like it's going to be different. Sometimes you may not find the help you need when you go home, but like when you're at LVC, like they helped you. They helped me through like the
Yeah.
college situation and stuff. So
The thing I regret about when I was in school, because my parents both went to college, but I was like, I sort of was too stupid and arrogant, which is like a lot of kids, which is like my defense mechanism. Like I never needed to ask for help because I knew it all. And that was like such a dumb thing to have done, because there were not that they not there were whatever supports there were, I never took advantage of them. I mean, I took advantage of other stuff. I loved college. That's why I became a professor. But yeah, so I think a lot of it is just to be open to new experiences and to be willing to kind of like try things out, which is hard because it's like you have to be willing to fail in some ways.
yeah,
And that's, particularly if you're scared, that's people go to their comfort zone and they hunker down, and that kind of works against what college is trying to do, which is to work on developing, as you said, the whole you, to make you more well-rounded, the academics, but also the physical side, the emotional side. Yeah. So what advice or what other advice would you have for them besides to be well-rounded, to take into?
um, like to piggyback what you said, like don't be afraid to fail. I mean, you're going to fail. You may fail a course or two. Like don't be too hound on like you failing something. Maybe you're just not good at it. It's okay to be like just not as good at something, because sometimes you can work hard for everything you want, and then next thing you know, you fail, and then you're like you sink in the hole. You're like, man, I don't want to do this no more. But don't sink yourself in that hole. Like, you know, make sure you find like people that like will help you and build you up. And college is hard work. Like it's not going to be easy on the way there. And even when you get out, you have to make sure that you take the steps to be successful. Like another thing I would say, just listen. Like most of the time, like when you come in, and I forget what they used to call them. They used to have was it your class who used to have us come to the symposiums? Um,
Yeah, I would
yeah,
push that pretty hard.
yeah. So don't be afraid to sit in on some of those symposiums. Like there's a lot of good information coming out. There's a lot of good connections you can make with the people who come to campus. Um, so like don't be afraid to make connections while you're going through school, in and out. And like I said before, don't be afraid to take an internship or two um, that has nothing to do with your degree, because it's okay to take like a 1 credit internship. That's only I
Right.
think 48 hours, and that's
Right.
like you got a whole 3 months to do that. So like taking an internship and just saying like, hey, maybe I'm looking at this, or maybe I'm looking like that. So I remember my freshman year, I took like a little internship at a dentist office just to see whether I was going to like that or not. And by the time yourself, you had your body for 19 years, you had your mind for 19 years, whether you're going to like a profession or not. So
Right.
you could be interested in something that you love. Like you're like, man, I'm interested. I love this. Like, you're looking at the money behind it too. You're looking at like the work life and how you work for yourself. But then you're like, man, like you take a little 1 credit internship and that's only 1 credit. So, and you're like, man, like, I don't really like this. So don't be
Right.
afraid to like, try what you're really, reaching for, whether that be, in a lawyer's office, whether that be in a politician's office, using your history degree, because it's a history degree is really well rounded. You can go medical field, you can go almost anywhere with your history degree. So don't get too discouraged about like um, not being able to like figure out what you really want to do. You have, like I said, you got 4 years to like take an internship here and there, and that actually counts for a class too. So
Yeah.
just make sure that you use that as your advantage to find out what you want to really do. So
Jake, that's really, really good advice. So unless you got something else to add, I think I'm going to leave it there, and then they can contact you, or I'll bring you into class depending on how things go.
yeah, that's all I have. That's it's a simple recipe to pass in college.
Hang on a second. Let me, okay.